It's 7:14 p.m. The porch light hasn't even flickered on yet, but somehow, they already know. You hear it before you see it. Just a soft rustle in the hedge line and then a pause. Then another rustle. Closer this time, two eyes catch that last bit of orange dusk light low to the ground, just watching your back door. It honestly feels like they're reading a schedule, only they can see. You haven't put anything out yet. You haven't made a sound. But the raccoons are already in position, sitting in the exact same spot they sat in yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. This isn't random. This isn't luck. This is a routine, one they built, one they enforce, and one you didn't even realize you agreed to. Because somewhere over the last few months, without a single word, you and the raccoons in your backyard negotiated a deal. And tonight, just like every night, they're here to collect. Now, most people assume raccoons just show up because of leftover food, an unlatched bin, or pure chance. A messy yard, a lucky night, nothing more. But here's what almost nobody realizes. Raccoons don't just find patterns. They build them around you, specifically. Wildlife researchers have known for a long time that raccoons have some of the sharpest problem-solving memories in the animal kingdom. Honestly, they rival primates in certain memory tests. They don't forget a routine. They refine it. If you fed them, even once, at a certain time in a certain spot, their brains logged it as a reliable event. And once that happens, they don't wait around for coincidence to repeat it. They engineer the conditions to make sure it does. And here's why this matters a lot more than it sounds. This isn't just some cute quirk of nature. It's a slow, quiet takeover of your evening schedule, built entirely on conditioning you to perform on cue. And if you break the pattern even once, the consequences aren't subtle. Overturned bins, scratched screens, a trail of destruction that feels suspiciously deliberate. Because it is. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's happening at your fence line every evening, why it's way more calculated than you think, and what happens the night you finally decide to say no. Before we go any further into what's really happening after sunset in your backyard, hit subscribe, because what these animals do next when the routine breaks is something almost nobody films in time. It usually starts innocently enough: a bag of trash left out a little too long, a bird feeder that spills more seed than it should. One warm evening, a raccoon finds it, and just like that, a signal is sent to its brain. This yard, this time, this reward. You've probably heard of Ivan Pavlov's famous dogs. They learned to salivate at the sound of a bell, because that bell meant food was coming. Raccoons do the exact same thing, but with entire environments. Porch lights switching on, a door creaking open, the specific hour the sky turns violet. Any one of these can become the bell. Within just 2 or 3 repeated instances, that association locks in. Neuroscience shows that dopamine spikes not just when the reward arrives, but the exact moment the cue for the reward appears. That means the raccoon isn't just excited when it finds food. It's excited the second your porch light flickers on, long before any food even exists. You didn't train them on purpose, but your patterns did the training for you. Here's where things get a little unsettling. When you break that routine, no food, no scraps, nothing waiting for them at the usual time, raccoons don't just give up and walk away. People who study urban raccoons actually have a name for what happens next. They call it an extinction burst. Basically, when that expected reward suddenly disappears, the animal doesn't just quietly accept it, their behavior spikes. It gets way more intense. Honestly, it's the exact same reason someone kicks a vending machine when it steals their money. When you expect something and don't get it, frustration takes over. For a raccoon, that frustration looks like flipped trash cans, ripped screens, and fresh claw marks all over your door frame that weren't there last week. And here's the thing, it's not just random destruction. It's a calculated reaction from an animal that predicted a certain outcome and just watched that prediction completely fail. All that mischief? It's not chaos. It's a protest. If you listen closely at dusk, you might hear this low chittering sound. It almost sounds like a purr mixed with radio static. Most of us just write it off as background noise, but it's really not. Wildlife studies show that raccoons actually have over a dozen distinct vocalizations. Everything from aggressive growls to those soft chitters, and they usually only use those chitters between a mother and her babies, or between raccoons that have grown totally comfortable sharing the same territory. So that noise by your fence line, it's not just idle chatter. It's coordination. When you see multiple raccoons showing up in your yard on a rotating schedule, that low sound is often how they're passing information back and forth. They're basically telling each other who was here last, what worked and what didn't. In other words, that conversation happening right outside your window every evening might be less about you and more about a shared strategy being passed along raccoon to raccoon night after night. There's a good reason people call them nature's tricksters, and it goes way beyond the little masks on their faces. Research out of the University of Wyoming actually found that raccoons can solve really complex, multi-step puzzles involving latches and levers. But here's the wild part: they can remember the solution for up to 3 years. Think about that. That kind of long-term memory means a raccoon isn't just reacting to your yard in the moment, it's mapping it out. It knows exactly which fence board is loose, which door doesn't latch all the way, and even what hour you usually step outside. And since they're surprisingly social within their family groups, once one raccoon figures it out, that solution spreads. A mother will literally teach her babies which yards give the fastest reward. Then those babies grow up, head out on their own, and repeat the exact same lessons somewhere else. So, what looks like a little isolated mischief in your backyard, it might actually be a lesson plan quietly passed down for generations. So, what actually happens the night you finally decide, enough is enough? No more scraps, the bins are locked up tight, and the lights are off. Well, that first night, they wait. Way longer than usual. People who actually study raccoon behavior around places where they get regular food have noticed this: when an expected meal suddenly vanishes, they just linger. They don't leave until well past their normal window, almost like they're double-checking to see if the pattern really changed. By the second night, you start seeing the frustration. They make more noise. They start messing with things more, testing latches, pushing at doors, exploring parts of the yard they usually wouldn't even bother with. Then, around the third or fourth night, they don't just magically disappear. They adapt. They move their search over to a neighbor's yard, taking that lesson with them. And honestly, it's proof that the whole routine was never really about your yard at all. It was just about the reward. You were the source, until you weren't. But here's the thing, almost no one connects until it's pointed out directly. That precise timing, the way they show up at the exact same minute, night after night, no matter the weather, the season, or how late the sun sets it, isn't just about scent or memory. There is a whole second layer to this conditioning that most homeowners completely miss. Mostly because it's hiding right in plain sight, built into something we do ourselves every single evening without fail. And that second layer is you. Not your food, not your trash, you. Your body, your habits, the tiny little cues you don't even realize you're giving off. Like the exact minute you flick on the porch light, the sound of your back door closing, the specific hour your kitchen window starts glowing against the dark. See, raccoons don't just condition themselves to food. Studies on urban wildlife show that these nocturnal animals living right next to us actually tune their behavior to human rhythms. Our schedules literally become their clock. To them, that porch light turning on isn't just a light, it's a countdown, which means that demand you feel every evening, it's not really coming from the raccoons at all. It's just an echo of a routine that you built first. They simply learned to read it better than you ever noticed you were writing it. So, back to that moment at 7:14 p.m., that rustle in the hedge, the eyes catching the last bit of light, right on schedule. But see, it was never really just about instinct. It was about a treaty. Unspoken, unsigned, just forged one repeated evening at a time. It's this quiet agreement between a species built to remember and a species that never even realized it was teaching. The next time you flip that porch light on, just pause for a second. You're not just illuminating your yard, you're ringing the bell. What time do your evening visitors show up? And have you ever tried breaking the pattern,